Hi, we are the Outreach Advocates, Advocates Against Family Violence here in Caldwell, Idaho. My name is Kaylee, and I'm here today with Gabby.
Hi there.
And we are going to be talking with you all about stress management, specifically during this time that we're in with COVID.
All right, so let's start first with our objectives. The first one you're going to take away from this: understand how stress impacts our brain, body, and overall health. The second one is we're going to expand stress management tools for you through the lens of the mind, body, and spirit. And lastly, you'll be able to share stress management tools with friends, family, and peers. Now, the 3 tools we'll be giving you will help you manage the stress, but it won't take away your stress. It's not a cure. Through the lens of your mind, body, and spirit, this 3-point connection will help your brain, bodies sync up. When we understand how our emotions and bodies are connected, we can better manage the stress and advocate for others experiencing toxic stress and trauma. Now, when I say stress and trauma, they'll be used interchangeably throughout this presentation.
So we're going to just start off by talking about a few definitions. The first one is going to be toxic stress. So toxic stress is a different kind of stress that impacts your brain and your body's ability to function. So it's not just your everyday, like, I got to get my homework done stress, or I have to be somewhere at a certain time stress. This is stress that happens over a period of time, over and over, and really impacts how you function in the world. Toxic stress can be caused by experiencing or witnessing violence, abuse, and neglect. In addition to violence, abuse, and neglect, toxic stress can also be caused by an interruption to your normal routine, or a traumatic event that happens in your life. So right now, the whole world is kind of experiencing a toxic stress with COVID-19. So all of our brains are kind of going a little crazy, and that's totally normal. And the response that a lot of us are experiencing are called fight, flight, and freeze. You might have heard of that. It's kind of what happens when you're having like an adrenaline rush. But when someone experiences toxic stress, their brain is always in fight, flight, or freeze mode. So what that means is that your brain is responding to a traumatic event. There's adrenaline released in your brain, and a stress signal is being sent to your body to kind of tell you what to do. This is a very normal response to trauma. Oftentimes when somebody experiences trauma, we have an idea of how they might react, but because of fight, flight, or freeze, we might have a reaction that is totally different than what you would expect. So maybe you witness something really horrific, and instead of crying about it or screaming about it, you kind of just shut down and sleep for a few days. That would be the flight mode, right? Or maybe you just stand there and you have no idea what to do. That would be freeze. Or maybe you get really angry and you get like a rush of energy. That would be fight. It's just really important to know that no matter how you're reacting to stress, it's completely normal and totally okay.
Okay, let's take a look at our brain for a second. So we have the thinking brain, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for our rational decision making, right? It's also known as the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain is compromised during the fight, flight, or freeze response. And then you also have the feeling part, the part of the brain that's responsible for your emotions, also known as the amygdala. The amygdala takes center stage during a traumatic and stressful event by signaling the body to freeze, fight, or flee during the traumatic event. So because of the uncertainty and abrupt interruption of our daily lives during the coronavirus, many of us, without knowing it, are operating in our feeling brain without our thinking brain, with our thinking brain being under tremendous stress. So if you are experiencing forgetfulness, mood swings, sadness, or any other stress response, this is totally normal. You're fine. The good news is that there are tools to help our brain and body coordinate and regulate the stress. And we need both our thinking and feeling brain to manage stress and make rational decisions. Because when our thinking brain is consistently compromised by trauma and stress, our body's ability to cope also diminishes. This can cause long-term mental and physical health consequences.
So, just to dive a little bit deeper into the impacts that toxic stress can have on not only our brains and our bodies, but also our relationships, we're going to show you some research that was done through Kaiser and the CDC, where basically they showed that traumatic events that happen before the age of 18 can change the way our brain develops and have an impact on our overall social and physical health in life. So this pyramid kind of shows that impact. You'll see at the bottom there is the different experiences of toxic stress or trauma. And then as you go up the pyramid, you'll see different impacts. So right there in the middle, you have brain chemistry changes. Then you might have some impacts with your relationships, so like your social and emotional skills. And then you might experience health risk behavior. So that would be like smoking, drinking a lot of alcohol, drugs, things like that. And then as you go up, you'll experience diseases that could be terminal or just really have a negative impact on your overall health. And then at the very top of that pyramid, it's early death. And this pyramid is not meant to scare you or for you to think, oh no, like I had something traumatic happen to me, so this is what's going to happen. No, this research is actually really hopeful and helpful because it shows that when we have resiliency, we can kind of mitigate these effects. And it also shows that paying attention to our stress is really important, and then there is something we can do about it if we experience it. So we're going to show you a video that explains ACEs, the research on ACEs, just a little bit better.
A child's experiences early in life are important building blocks for the developing brain. Genes, nature, are like the blueprint. They provide the basic framework for brain development. However, genes do not design the brain completely. Environmental influences, nurture, fine-tune how the brain works by shaping which brain connections get used. Connections that are used more grow stronger and more permanent, whereas ones that do not get much use fade away. Together, genes and the environment build the foundation for all future development. Safe, stable, and nurturing relationships early in life lead to healthy development. But children's brains capture other experiences as well. Stressful events. However, not all stress is bad. Positive stress involves normal childhood experiences, like starting daycare or meeting a new person for the first time. This stress is essential for healthy development because it helps children develop coping skills and confidence. But when stress is frequent, chronic, and uncontrolled, it is toxic to children, especially when they do not have a caregiver to provide support or buffer the stress. Adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, such as abuse, neglect, exposure to intimate partner violence, parental depression or addiction, and poverty, are toxic stressors which could lead to lifelong changes in learning and behavior. ACEs early in development can impact social, emotional, and cognitive functioning, increased risk-taking behavior such as drinking and substance use, and increased risk of disease, disability, and social problems later in life. The question is, how do adverse childhood experiences impact a lifelong development? One of the most important systems in our body is our stress system. It's activated when we experience stress. We become alert, our heart rate increases, and so do our stress hormone levels, cortisol and adrenaline. Our body is ready to react, what is known as fight or flight. A short period of time after the stress is over, or if a child receives support from a caregiver, the stress response turns off and the body returns to a normal state. Adverse childhood experiences create stress responses that stay active, and without the support of a caregiver, the system has difficulty shutting off completely. This constant and prolonged activation can affect immune system functioning and increase the chances of sickness, infection, and disease. Prolonged activation of stress hormones is also toxic to the brain. certain areas of the brain are more vulnerable to toxic stress, including the executive center, or the brain's control center, an area important for solving complex problems, attention, reasoning, impulsivity, inhibition, and learning. A second area is the emotional center, the brain's alarm system, which is involved in processing and interpreting emotions and the ability to control impulses. The third area is the memory and learning center, the brain's filing cabinet, which plays a major role in learning and the formation and retrieval of memories. Science shows that adverse childhood experiences impact all of these brain centers. Behaviorally, what we begin to see is emotional distress, poor emotion regulation, greater impulsivity, learning difficulties, and physical and mental health problems. More recently, science has begun to look at how ACEs cause changes in gene expression through a process called epigenetics, which helps us understand how nature and nurture interact. Epigenetics causes changes in the way genes work without changing the DNA code itself. This occurs through chemical changes influencing how the code is used. In other words, genes are like the hardware in a computer. They determine the boundaries of what is possible. However, we need an operating system to tell the hardware what to do. Epigenetics is like the operating system directing the function of a gene's DNA hardware. The genes we are born with are the genes that we have for life, but experiences like nutrition, exercise, smoking, stressors, and relationships all affect our biology. Adverse childhood experiences are associated with epigenetic changes related to stress, brain development, cognition, and systems associated with mental and physical health. Changes that happen early in brain development are more likely to be enduring and are possibly passed on to future generations as well. The good news is that positive, supportive relationships at any stage in life can make a difference. However, supporting families and children early on will help prevent many of these negative outcomes. One of the key ingredients for healthy development is having warm, loving, and actively engaged caregivers. This involves promoting serve and return interactions, where caregivers actively and warmly engage with the child, making eye contact, responding to sounds, words, gestures, emotional needs, and sharing experiences like reading and play. Providing programs that support caregivers to strengthen these abilities are the blocks that build healthy foundations for life.
All right, so after we looked at some stress and trauma info, let's look at some practical tools you can use to help manage your stress. So one way you can do is to connect your head and heart with different breathing exercises. This is one breathing tool you can use to calm yourself, and we're going to do it together, and I want you to try to do it with us. All right, so first you're going to sit back or stand, that's fine too, but just make sure you're really comfortable. Lean back in your chair if you need to, and then you're going to take a deep breath in for 4 seconds, and then slowly out for 6 seconds. Exhale slowly, feel your belly as it rises, and you can do this multiple times and adjust it as you need to. You can do it with someone else or by yourself. Now Kaylee has the second tool.
Yeah, so this second tool, communicating with I statements, is a really great thing to do after you've done some deep breathing. So that deep breathing really helps calm down your nervous system. And when your nervous system is calm, your thinking brain is going to have a better, easier time communicating with the people in your life that need to know what's going on. So one way to do that is with I statements. So I feel because I need. This is a really great way to give somebody all of the information that they need to support you, or at least more information than just I'm mad or I'm angry or I hate you or I can't do this right now. The I feel is the part where you're identifying what emotion you're experiencing. Because is the stressor, that's what happened. And then I need is what you need to feel safe and calm. This is also a really great tool to use to check in with yourself. sometimes when we experience toxic or traumatic stress, we don't really know what's causing it or where it's coming from. So this is a really good tool to just kind of reflect on what you need and what's going on. If you are able to use this with somebody in your life, that's a really good indication that you have a relationship that's built on trust and safety. If you feel like you can make a statement like this without ridicule or without being judged or without them arguing with you, that's a really great indication that that person is a healthy support for you, and that can help build resiliency.
And when we think about stress, a lot of times we think about what's going on in our brain, in our mind, but did you know that stress is also stored in your body? So this next tool called the 5-point check-in will help you identify where those stress triggers might be in your body. So what you'll do is, again, you might sit back or stand, just be really calm, and you're going to take 5 deep breaths. You're going to name 4 things you see, then name 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can taste.
Yeah, so when you engage all 5 senses, that's another tool to calm your nervous system and help that thinking brain and feeling brain reconnect with each other. This is a tool that I personally used a lot when I'm driving or when I'm doing a task and I just feel stress and I don't really know where it's coming from. This is something that I'll do to kind of help identify where I'm feeling that stress in my body. Because stress doesn't just happen in your brain, it also is stored in your body. And so you might notice it in your neck or in your hands or in your feet, or you might be clenching your jaw. And this tool can just kind of help you pinpoint where that is so that you can relax it a little bit and then again help build resiliency to combat those effects of stress. So the third tip is engaging your spirit. So this is the tip where you are reflecting on what you need. This is the tip where you're building that relationship with yourself. And when you're building a strong relationship with yourself, you're building resiliency. So these are some questions that you can use to help check in with yourself and to help just kind of have a conversation with yourself. I like to take 5 minutes to just reflect on each of these at different points in my life, especially when I'm feeling stressed. You can take more time, you can take less. You can journal on a random piece of paper. You can use your cell phone, you can use a tablet, really just whatever is available to you is fantastic. There's no right or wrong way to do this. But those 3 questions are, where do you find hope and gratitude in your life? So maybe right now during the pandemic, you're really not feeling a lot of hope or gratitude, but even just pinpointing a few things that are really meaningful to you can help you build resiliency. Research alongside the ACEs research has actually showed that hope and gratitude are really great strengtheners for resiliency and combating stress. From there, what things do you hope for or that are you grateful for? So that can be like really simple things in your life. Maybe it's petting your cat or something you had for breakfast or watching the sun come up or the fact that you have like a blanket that you like, something like that. It doesn't have to be big things. It can be really small things. And then what can you do to increase the level of hope in your life? So a really good example of that might be making a choice to take a 5-minute walk every day just to be outside, or taking time to do that deep breathing exercise that Gabby shared with you. Those things can help you feel that hope and can help you feel that gratitude. So just to finish up here, we have a few do's and don'ts of stress management. So some of the do's are sleep, eat, and drink water. When you take care of your body, you're taking care of your brain as well. It's really important to do all 3 of those things, even if it's a struggle right now. And it's totally normal for that to be a struggle right now, but making it a priority is important. Practice self-care. So practice these tools, share them with people in your life, and reach out to the people that you trust. So again, the people that you feel like you can make those I statements with without feeling attacked or without feeling unsafe. And make sure that you're taking lots of breaks, especially with distance learning and everything that we're experiencing right now. Taking breaks every few minutes to take care of ourselves is really important.
And some things that are not going to help when you're dealing with stress is blaming yourself for others. That's not going to make things any better. Also, don't ignore or dismiss the stress. Acknowledge your feelings, your symptoms, because it's totally normal. I'm feeling it, Kaylee's feeling it, so it's totally normal. And don't forget the tools that we've given you. There are plenty out there, but these are just a few that we picked out for you.
So we want to leave you with some resources to help you support your friends and your family members. We will leave a link to this presentation in the show notes. So if you just click on any of these, it'll link you right to the source. Break the Cycle is a really great source for more information on toxic stress, trauma, and abuse. One of my favorite resources that's listed here is the Building a Safety Plan. Safety plans are amazing tools to help you identify what you need if you are in an unhealthy relationship or a dangerous relationship at home. And even building a safety plan with somebody that you trust can go a long way. And there's tips on how to do that safely through the Break the Cycle website. We're also going to leave you with some more information on ACEs and toxic stress and the research regarding that. And then at the bottom there, you'll see our contact information. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us by calling us or by sending us an email. Right now, we are working remotely, so you will probably get the fastest response if you send us an email. And also, if you have any suggestions for things that we can provide for you as far as education goes or expanding your toolbox goes, you can send us an email as well. These are also some things that we have coming up in our outreach program, so you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more information and to kind of stay up to date with us at AAFB_outreach. You can like us on Facebook, and then one thing that we're really excited to start in August is a 30-day music challenge for healthy relationships and managing stress. We also have a fall internship coming up specifically for young folks, and a book discussion where we will be looking at healthy relationships through the lens of young adult fiction. So if you're interested in either of those things, you can send us an email or comment on this video and we can get you more information on that. And we hope that you have a great day.
Let us know if you found it helpful or not so much.
Yeah.
Your honest opinion is important to us. And also if you have future suggestions for topics, that would be great too. Thanks.